Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be on one of the free characters that you get if you started a new account not too long ago, which is Hitoshi. I've been using Hitoshi in my Queen of Tides 17 team, and I've found him to be pretty impressive. I think he's kind of underrated. I think a lot of people overshadow him because of someone like Baron, who is also another really strong champion, but with the release of these higher dungeons, I think Hitoshi is a better hero than Baron for those dungeons, just because he clears the waves similar to Baron, but also he does better damage against the boss. So I just wanted to talk about Hitoshi a little bit because I think he is a pretty viable option to be your first candidate for epic books whenever you start playing this game, because he scales so well into the end game. So using some kind of epic ascension pot and then your epic books, I don't think they're going to go to waste. He will just progress all the way into the end game, so that's kind of nice. I will say, for someone who's comparable to him like Baron or something like that, she's probably a little bit better in Void Tower, and she's probably a little bit better in Arena for sure. So those are the downsides, but from a PvE perspective, I do think Hitoshi is comparable, and I think he does shine in other areas where Baron might not. So just talking on him here a little bit, he has a trait which allows him to be built with only 70% crit rate, which I think is a really great start. And anytime he kills somebody, he resets his ultimate ability cooldown, which is really cool. And then he'll also gain rage. This rage mechanic goes into his ultimate ability, which helps deal additional damage, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So if he's ascended as well, he gets this additional effect that every time he kills somebody, he gains a stack of attack up, which is a max of 5, so he can have up to additional 50% attack if he's clearing waves, which is really cool. So his basic ability, he deals 130% damage to an enemy, and then the damage is increased by 30% if this ability triggers a critical strike, which it should. So he's dealing an additional 30% all the time. He has a special ability that deals 165% damage to an enemy and then deals bonus damage based on the target's max health. Sadly, this will not apply to dungeon stages 17 to 20 because the max health stuff is the boss is immune to that. So that is a bummer, but this still applies for stages 16 down, which is cool. And then his ultimate ability consumes all rage, which is what we were talking about, dealing 130% damage to all enemies, so it's an AoE ability. And then it recovers his health, which is always nice, a little bit sustained. And then each point of rage increases the damage dealt by 20%. So he starts with 4 from his trait, and then every time he kills somebody, he gains a rage as well. So he can deal an additional 80% additional damage on his ultimate. And then if he kills someone, he launches a bonus attack with his special ability. So that's why I think he's a little bit better than Baron in these boss stages. He'll actually do some decent damage against the boss, where Baron does not do very good damage with her abilities after 4 or more people are no longer alive to do her bonus attacks. So he does have some really nice masteries as well, where he gets an additional crit rate on his mastery trees. So that means you only needed to build him 70% before, and then you get an additional 23%. You only need to build him with 47% crit rate. So you can just stack a lot of attack and crit damage. He does get crit damage on the physique. And as you see here, I have him fully booked. So I've got some pretty nice stats on him. 433% crit damage and 6.2 attack. He's got some attack gear on him, attack sets, warrior helms, and then a raider to help him get the speed necessary. This is kind of important considering how slow he is. His base speed is pretty slow, so it's kind of difficult to get him up in the speed criteria. And then he's got crit damage and crit damage on his Grail I could slap something on here if I wanted to, but he does fine without it. So let me jump in. I'll show you, his application in Queen of Tides. Like I said, stage 17. I haven't been trying too hard on this stage. I've been more focused on Witch of the Wind and Roaring Tulba, but I figured with the Queen of Tide rally going on right now, we might as well show this. So this is the team I'm using. The other benefit to Hitoshi is he does have that additional attack percentage on his leader ability, so that's really cool. So we're using Rachel here to clear some of the buffs, along with Badmar to help clear buffs on the Queen, and then Rachel is also a great damage dealer. We're bringing the revive spell because Rachel dies right at the end of this fight. So we bring her back, and then she gets to do her special ability to really take down the boss. But you'll see how much damage Hitoshi actually does. Atara's in there for some sustain and to clear the stun bubble that the boss puts up on 2 of your people, and then Badmar keeps your team healthy with all the AoE heals. So you'll see how fast he clears the waves here, which is really nice. And then on top of that, he does some pretty solid damage against the boss. So here, we're using Atara and Rachel to get some of the HP down on the crabs, but then Hitoshi comes in and does some really nice AoE damage, leaves 1 crab, and then Atara will finish off the first wave, and then Hitoshi comes in and does a really good job of clearing the entire second wave here once we get some chip damage done from Rachel. So really nice quick wave clear. And then here we're focusing on the right crab because he ends up healing the boss. So from here on out, it's just a race to try and kill the Queen before she does enough of those tidal wave abilities that gain damage over time. So right there, 2 turns, you clear out the little crab with enough damage from Rachel and Hitoshi. So pretty nice. And then just the damage that you can do with Hitoshi in comparison to somebody like Baron, I think is very noticeable when it comes to the boss. They're probably pretty comparable against waves, but when it comes to the actual boss, I think Hitoshi definitely outperforms Baron. So yeah, this is probably close to a, I don't know, 3.5 minute, 4 minute clear, which is not fast at all. I've seen some other teams out there that are also kind of free to play friendly per se, as free to play friendly as you can get in this game. But I have been using this one from time to time, and I think it's a decent little composition. I think Rachel is really important just because she acts as a damage dealer as well as clearing off some of these buffs from the boss. It can go a little bit slower, especially if you don't get very lucky with clearing the necessary buffs on the boss. Like there, we got pretty lucky with removing the shield with Rachel. But anyway, that all kind of worked out. But Badmar also helps keep some of those buffs at bay. Sometimes it's counterproductive because you want some buffs on the boss so Rachel can clear them. But here, this next kind of tidal wave ability, you'll see Rachel will die. That's why we have the revive spell. And then she comes in and kind of clears off some of the positive effects. Or actually, this is one of those more beneficial runs because of the nice buffs that we ended up removing. So yeah, this is just a pretty kind of clean run with, well, we got some booked heroes here, but Rachel does not need to be booked. But yeah, I mean, all the other heroes you're using in Rift of Chaos and things like that, so they translate over, so pretty nice. But yeah, if you just look at how much damage Hitoshi does, I mean, it's pretty good. A lot of his damage is coming from the waves, but you saw his damage on the Queen was actually pretty solid. So I think this is a nice little composition. I don't know replacements or anything like that. This has been really important for me. I've tried to sub in 1 or 2 people here and there, and it hasn't worked, so I think this is the only viable way to run the comp. So there are other teams out there that I've seen from other content creators like Machine. Shout out to Machine. He's put out some really good content on these new dungeons. So go check those out for other compositions, that don't include Rachel or Badmar or Atar or something like that. The other thing that I do want to say is he is viable in Witch of the Wind as well for some clearing there. So he won't be just a Queen of Tides build. I think he's also usable in Witch of the Wind, but his speed will definitely have to be higher just because the speed requirement in this dungeon is pretty high. But yeah, just a short little video on Hitoshi. I think he's a bit overlooked. I think he is quite strong. So hopefully you found some enjoyment out of this video, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.